All right. Oh, hello and welcome to another edition of Off the Post. I'll try to readjust my camera. All right, I am Jake, and this is another edition of Jake's Take. Each week, I try to break down the NWSL game of the week that we have chosen as a collective, and Jen Hayes follows it on Twitter each week. This week's game was FCKC versus the Chicago Red Stars, which was the curtain call on Jed Buskowski's career. It was a bit of a damn squib in terms of goals, but at the same time, these two teams pride themselves on defending well and keeping good defensive shape. So it was actually, if you're like me and see a little bit of romance in the art of defending, it was a great spectacle to see two teams that were eager to keep great defensive shape and help each other, help keep the other team out. So as I always do, I will start with the starting lineups, and I have clicked the wrong thing to start here. We will start with the, that is the same picture I just had. Boom. Chicago Red Stars. All right, there we go. Same 4-4-2 that we saw last week. It's been their identity for a long time with that diamond midfield. This week, their only change really was that Amanda DaCosta was able to come into the point of the diamond, and that allows Kristen Press to push up higher up the field. Jen Hoy drops to the bench. Really, this is Chicago's bread and butter. This is really a very familiar look for them, and a lot of similar things from last week that I highlighted. You know, attacking fullbacks, that diamond midfield keeps things compact and reduces passing lanes in the middle. So a lot of the key things for Chicago going into this game. For FCKC, this is the first time I've looked at them really here in the Jake's Take section. They've got the traditional 4-2-3-1. Buskowski and Scott, they create this curtain that's in front of the back four and really shield that defense from an attacking midfielder like an Amanda DaCosta. In terms of who started in this game, we saw that rookie Alexa Arlett, who slotted into that right back position, the left back position, excuse me. And she was tasked with the flank that was Aaron Gilliland's flank. And, Aaron Gilliland is one of the premier attacking fullbacks in NWSL. And to be a rookie coming into that situation where, you have to lock it down her side of the field, can be a very daunting task. And I don't really highlight her too much throughout the video, but I think a little special shout out for her. I thought she did really well in closing down that side of the field and really limiting Chicago's space on that flank. So I will move ahead, kind of highlight first. I like to look at the defensive shape of how teams set up. Again, here we go with that. It's a kind of a picture-perfect image here of Chicago and their 4-4-2 diamond. Really highlights the keys to this formation. The only space that is available really for FCKC to attack through is down the flanks with their wing backs. It takes some time for that diamond to shift over and create an overload. So there's a lot of time and space out there. First half, Alexa Arlett, she had a lot of time and space to push forward and try to initiate something. However, with Chicago's backline, where they're positioned, and with the diamond kind of slowly rotating over, there's really not a lot of options. You can see that Heather O'Reilly's ahead of her, checking back to the ball. That's really her only option. And she actually, in this case, doesn't elect to choose. She elects not to choose that pass and chooses to go backwards, actually, in this case. And you can see, this diamond midfield, there's not a ton of room for anyone to operate, really, and really close down the attacking positioning for FCKC. On the other side, this is the standard 4-2-3-1 for FCKC, and this is actually in the second half. Really, again, you get those lines pretty straight, pretty. The only real depth you get really is with Becky Sauerbrunn there picking up. I believe that's Sofia Huerta. And this is a case where Nayer's on the ball and about to put the ball back into play. FCKC is pretty. They're pretty good about keeping their spacing. There's not a lot of players in between the lines. I've actually highlighted Des Scott because she, at this point, is marking Amanda DaCosta, and she and Buskowski did a really good job of limiting her space throughout the match. And DaCosta really didn't have a lot of time and space to operate. You want your number 10 to get into that zone right at the top of the box, and time again, both of them were just there to clean up messes and keep the defense from getting overwhelmed. So looking a little bit further ahead, we've got Kristen Press. I highlighted this one because, throughout the game, I thought that Kristen Press had a difficult time getting on the ball because of the tight marking from Overbush and Sauerbrunn. This is the case where she actually did find enough time and space to turn. A lot of times she was checking back towards the ball and was either forced to go wide or backwards. This case, she actually did get to turn, but by the time the time and space it took for her to drop, collect the ball, and turn, Des Scott and Jen Buskowski are already back in front of her. So there's that line of two, along with the back four from FCKC are all the way back already. It really limited a lot of her options going forward. The only ones being Alyssa Motz on the wing for that pass, which it's what she chose in the end, but it didn't work out because Alexa Arla is alert and ready to anticipate that pass. The only other option really is to play a long ball over the top to Huerta, who may or may not be offside at this point. It's kind of hard to tell due to the camera angle. But at the same time, forcing a long ball forward into those spaces, not really what you want if you're a Chicago fan right at this point. So, FCKC does a great job of limiting the touches and space and options for arguably the best striker in NWSL at the moment. Here we go again. I've highlighted the defensive compactness of FCKC, and this is actually about a half a minute after a long free kick came in from a deep position. They hiffed it forward. It goes out for a throw in, and still FCKC's defensive is really good. Very compact, as you can see. The four defenders are in that line there, probably no more than 15 yards apart. Buskowski and Des Scott are within touching distance of each other, really, and that is Laddish and I believe Silva on the far side also tracking back. That's what is that? That's 8 players right there from their starting lineup, and out wide you see Casey Short is really the only option for Colaprico to really look to go play and get into space. And actually, she's being marked by Erica Timrak, who came on for O'Reilly at halftime, and really clogged up all the options going forward for Chicago Red Stars. It really was difficult for them to break those lines. There's such little space, and when you've got the double pivot of Buskowski and Scott, it's one or the other is back at sweeping in front, collecting, breaking up the play in that middle space there. And as we go forward, at this point in the match, because teams were really getting frustrated and really trying to open up play, things got really stretched at this point. Here we go with this play as Mandy Laddish gets the ball and she's dribbling forward. This is kind of where things would break down for FCKC, is when they got into this transition play. So Chicago's pushing up. They're trying to make combination passes. Buskowski and Scott and the FCKC defense are breaking up the play. And so Laddish finally gets the ball and gets to dribble into space. So she does a really great job, and she dribbles forward, and she actually makes Samantha Johnson step forward and commit, and she beats her on the dribble. Now, the problem in this transition play, though, is you'll notice I've got a bunch of arrows, and they're all pointing essentially the same direction because all 4 of the FCKC players are running into that same space. It's this lack of intelligent running, this lack of understanding of where your movement off the ball needs to be, that is what is killing FCKC at this point. They've got Chicago on the back foot. Koloprika's pushed up high up the field. She's not in this play. And it's really a case where they need more numbers forward. Silva's trailing the play. She's trying to break into that space, and eventually they get the ball wide to her. But, at that point, Laddish has to hold up and play a kind of negative pass over there, and really slows things down and allows Chicago to get back and prepare defensively for this play. So, that's something that I noticed, that transition play. If, Laddish and her fellow players, Groom and Silva and Timrak, if they could space out a little bit better, make a little bit better runs, they could do a little bit more damage on the attacking side. Again, here we go. Because it's getting stretched, they lose the ball, comes back the other way. A couple minutes later, it's Amanda DaCosta's now on the ball, and she actually found this pocket of space. But at the same time, Averbush steps forward. Scott and Buskowski are on her way back. This circle collapses on her, and again, she only really has two options, and it's Horta and Alyssa Motz again. Do I get to attempt a crazy kind of scoop pass to Horta over the top, or maybe try to slip in Alyssa Motz on the far side? Hopefully that's something that they work on this week. Is again, this transition play is knowing where to go, and what passes need to be made, and where people on the field need to be on the breaks, because both teams had opportunities like this where they finally broke free, and nothing really came of it either anytime. This is actually, I think, the best sequence of the game. It's just going to start with this little throw in with Brittany Taylor on this far side. She plays a 1-2 with Jen Buskowski, actually, and at this point she really has two options going forward. The way that Chicago defenders are set up, I anticipated her going with option 1, which was a split pass back to Buskowski for her to turn and go forward. But she actually, I don't know if she mishits it, trying to get the ball down the line to Silva, or if she meant to play this ball in, but she actually plays a long ball into Shea Groom, who's at the top of the screen with Sam Johnson. And, to me, that was kind of a hopeful ball, because she's got Johnson on her back. She's got Kolopriko in front of her, and, it's kind of a hopeful ball. But to Groom's credit, she powers through both challenges and is able to lay this ball back off to Jem Buskowski. And because Groom has done this, Sam Johnson is now out of position. So that's opening up some space in the middle there for FCKC. And if we go a little bit further, after Buskowski gets it, she's going to play a pass to Mandy Laddish. And at this point, Silva's starting to realize there's some space behind Sam Johnson, and she's starting to drift into that space. And we can really start to see this third player run in action. And as we see, Laddish gets the ball. And at this point, Katie Naughton has stepped really aggressive and hard on this ball. And as a central defender, your other central defender has already stepped up high. If at this point, if you decide you are going to make this challenge, you either have to get the ball or you have to make a hard foul and stop the play, because both of you have stepped up and both of you have left space in the middle for that to be exploited. Silva has seen this, and she's made an intelligent run, curl run in behind Sam Johnson. Casey Short on this near side hasn't stepped up with both the center backs, and probably Erin Gilliland on the far side hasn't stepped up either. And it's just a case where both central defenders stepped high and went aggressive, and the wing backs just probably didn't see that coming. And Silva, to her credit, has made an intelligent run and is in space. Going forward one more step, she gets in one-on-one with Nair, and at this point, she does a really good job at forcing her out and makes her commit to ground. And at that point, you think, once Nair's on the ground, Silva's going to finish it. And she elects to shoot higher. And I think it comes off of Nair a little bit, might nick off her just a smidge, but it crashes into the crossbar. And, maybe it's the wind as well, playing some havoc with the ball. I don't know if she just got excited and overhit it. Whatever it was, Nair's presence, it created a chance for Nair to. It created an opportunity to for Silva to mess up mentally, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As a striker, you're one-on-one, you really want to take your chance, and whatever the factor was, she didn't take it, and that's why there's no goal at that point. So, going forward, here's another play. Again, it isn't that great of movement off the ball for FCKC. Really, there's only I've got an arrow on the far side. Mandy Laddish is the only one making an aggressive run diagonally across the field. She's being marked by Colaprico there at the bottom of that diamond for Chicago. Again, Taylor's just dribbling forward. DiBernardo has tucked in too far, so she can't put pressure, which means Short steps forward. When Short steps forward, that leaves Silva available. And Sam Johnson now has this thought process of like, okay, what's her next pass? If it goes to Silva, I'm going to have to step hard aggressively to try to stop it. And at this point, Brittany Taylor sees that run from Laddish, who's making a streaking diagonal run into space behind Sam Johnson, and she curls that ball into space for her to run into that channel. And when she gets it, I click the right button, she gets the ball wide and immediately looks to play that first time cross. And at this point, there's really no option in there, but I've circled Katie Naughton because she's actually going to have to mark Shea Groom, who's going to make a really good run across the face of goal. And she actually makes contact with it. And this is kind of nitpicky on my front, but as a striker, you get that your coaches always tell you, head it back where it came from. So if a cross comes in from the left side, you head it down across the face of goal to the left side. It's a diving header opportunity for Shea Groom. And so, at this point, she's probably just thinking, if I make this run hard, the only thing I can do really is to try to get it on frame. And when she heads it down, she heads it into a nice height for Alyssa Nair to dive down into and claw out. I kind of highlighted that space right on that post for her to really be aiming at. Nair knows that the ball is going to come across the goal, and if she can dive down low to her left, she probably can save it. But if that ball comes in hard the opposite way, she's not going the right direction and would offset her. And if she got the same contact on it and goes in the corner, that's a certain goal. So just little things FCKC are doing not quite as crisp as they should, and that's why they're not scoring as much. This is the last sequence I'm going to highlight, really. Another chance for FCKC because, again, they're the ones who are really piling on the pressure late, and Chicago is really playing for the clean sheet, I guess, at this point. It's a long ball from Overbush, and this ball goes to Katie Bowen, who flicks it up, and it's up in the air really high, actually. I didn't circle it, but follow the arrow, and you can kind of see it. So just a simple long ball flick through from her. The ball's still in the air, bounces, it goes really high. Again, that wind is really playing havoc with the ball in the air, and Erin Gilliland is best positioned for this ball. And as a defender, they always tell you head it wide of frame because you want to make sure your goalkeeper doesn't miss it and go in your goal. So at this point, she's probably thinking, where's the best place for me to head it? Shea Groom is also on her horse, and she's gonna put pressure on her. So I don't know if it's Groom's pressure that scares her, that if she heads it backwards, that she'll intercept it and score. I don't know what it was, but she elects to come across it from the side and head it across the face of goal. And when she does that, actually, Katie Bowen's got a really smart, intelligent trailing run. She's trying to trailing the play, ready to pick up scraps. And when Gilliland's header doesn't go too terribly far, it goes right into Katie Bowen's path. And, at this point, you kind of think, well, this is it. This is going to be the goal. But unfortunately, she gets into the spot again, 1v1 with Nair, hit it across frame. If you hit it right, it goes in. If you hit it in a spot where Nair can get it, she palms it into the middle where you have Groom and Timrack trailing the play. Or it might be Mandy Laddish. I'm not sure, actually. but at the same time, hit it low and hard. Your teammates are going to follow this up. And what, I don't know if she is reaching for it or if she scuffs it for whatever reason. Her shot, it kind of dribbles towards that near post, and Nair is able to get down and kick save it away. So again, 3 great saves from Nair. She was the reason that Chicago came away with this one with a point on the road. That's why I just saw that she was NWSL Player of the Week. So I actually picked her as my Player of the Week as well. And in a game where you're FCKC, you really wanted to win this game as this is your Midwest rival, and kind of end this on a sad note, kind of, because it's Jen Biskowski's last game. She's been around since the beginning of NWSL, and she's the real iron woman in the FCKC lineup, and she's had the consecutive start record for the league, and she's done so much for that FCKC side that's won 2 championships. And without her, her consistent play and her ability to be in, week out, I don't think that's the back-to-back championship team anyway. She doesn't get the same fanfare that a player like Lauren Holiday would get when she retired, but at the same time, these are players that you want your league to value, and hopefully, her contribution will stand, with those 2 championships, and really stick out with the fans in Kansas City. So that is it for this week. Hopefully, I actually haven't caught our next game of the week yet, but it will be a week 6 match from NWSL. We've got full slate of games Saturday, Sunday, so look out for that next week. Actually, if you're looking for a video tomorrow, the Grassroots series will be back. I actually have a conversation with Steel City founder Steph Harrison, so that'll be really interesting to talk with her and a couple of the players from Steel City about their upcoming WPSL season. And DJ and I are actually going up to a game in the Motor City against Motor City FC in Detroit. So that'll be a fun thing to do after we talk to them, get to see them play against the coach that we had our last episode with. So it'll be an interesting next couple of days. Lots of content coming out. So keep checking in with us, and hope you enjoy the NWSL weekend, and we will see you next week.